we've got more work to do to kind of go validate that. But that needs to be true. So we can't just say it's a growth vehicle. We need to make sure and have confidence that truly it's driving people in the front door. The second thing I would say, and love your guys' thoughts on this, is I actually think the sports season, the games and semis can be a really energizing moment for existing community. It gives people the opportunity to come together. It inspires them. Not 100% of our community, but for a lot of owners and a lot of coaches and a lot of fans, it's an awesome opportunity to celebrate this really unique and amazing community. And I think, I've been in this job now for a year and a half. I've got the benefit of 2 games. It's just a really energizing moment throughout the year that I think fires people up, and they go back to their affiliates in their hometowns excited about CrossFit. And so that's the thesis and the bet around the importance of sport. I think personally that we can do more. We need to do more to both get more impact out of sport and do a better job of running the business of sport. And so our goal next year is to do those 2 things. How do we reach more people, inspire more people, energize the community, and run a more disciplined business around sport?
And with regards to sport, where do you think that you guys are falling short the most? I think a lot of people look at, point to big decisions that happen. One, like the coverage of the masters and age groups. Obviously, the choice now to split them off and have them run with independent partners. And I think there are a lot of people that are looking at this, even tying back to this affiliate decision, like, hey, CrossFit is asking for more money. And we even look to something that should be celebratory and almost like a rallying point for the community, and we're getting less here. So where do you think that specifically the improvement can be made immediately, at least in this short term?
Yeah, so as we come back to kind of some of those decisions, let's take the first piece around some of the decisions around adaptive and age group. As we talked about at the time, that's really in service of kind of 2 things. As you guys know, again, running the games itself for just elite and teams is a massive undertaking. And when you add those other divisions, which are incredible and inspirational, being able to deliver that well over a 5-6 day window actually limits what we can deliver in support for those respective divisions. And so we're in a place where we've got to support 500-600 athletes, I think somewhere in that range. And so the thesis there was, look, one, we can deliver if we think about leveraging the games to reach more people, we can deliver a better elite and team athlete experience, really focus on it by partnering with these other organizations that run an incredible event and being a part of helping support them, promote them, get eyeballs on them. We can actually create an event that's customized for those athletes. We can support more athletes. And so there are some trade-offs, but the belief is we can run a better games for the individual and team athletes and create a better experience for our adaptive and age group athletes as well. And so that's the thesis around it and kind of what we're trying to support for next year. We need to, again, across those 2 goals of kind of growth, does this format allow us to reach more people, drive higher engagement, create a more compelling product to engage with and watch? And does it, support the goals of a really inspirational experience for our community?
You mentioned you're debating something about the game season, and what is that debate over? Is it meaning CrossFit, should we run the open, run the games, and then kind of go back to what the sanctional model was and let someone else figure out in between there with maybe a little more structure? Or is it, how do we just better manage costs here?
We're debating lots of stuff, but okay. The piece that I was referencing a little bit before was, look, at the end of the day, for us, as we think about, there's a lot of decisions we have to make in and around sport. Those have to be driven by what goal we want them to support. Like, how does this help the community, and how does this help us reach our ultimate goal? And one of those really big assumptions that's really important for us to have a point of view on is, does sport drive growth? Does it get us more eyeballs? Does it get people in the front door of the gym? And I'd say we have a somewhat objective, quantified understanding of that, but a lot of it is kind of gut and intuition still. So one of the things we just have to do a better job next year of being able to say conclusively, the CrossFit Games and the season gets more people in the front door of affiliate. Here's the data that shows it. And then we can build a strategy around getting as much leverage out of that as possible. So that's one of the things that this is a debate that can't be qualitative. It can't be opinion based. We've got to do a better job of getting data. Now, when it comes down to then how we run the season, we have a variety of things that we have to balance, right? As you guys talked about. So there is tension between how many people we reach, how many athletes we support, and how much money we pour into the season. How many millions of dollars do we fund to run these events and structure them and create the overall season? And are we getting the return? Is the community getting the return from that it deserves? We need to be thoughtful about every dollar we spend. The last thing I'd say on this is, I think, being really thoughtful about what is the optimal role for HQ. So on one extreme, should we run every single event globally? I think there was a point at which we ran 17 events at one point. I think
2011, yeah.
I can't even imagine what that was like. Right?
It was controlled chaos. It was
controlled. That's
I think controlled was being generous.
Well, there's 25,000 people that signed up for the Open there, so there was a smaller cohort as a whole.
Imagine running 17 events. So that's probably not the right answer for us. Us trying to run 17 events. Us doing nothing and having no footprint, also probably not the right answer. And so we have the benefit of this incredible, passionate community where folks are psyched and willing to participate in creating these amazing moments and amazing experiences. So part of what we're thinking through is, hey, as based on what we've learned historically, what's the right role for us, and where and how do we partner with folks in the community to deliver these experiences? That is part of the decision around age group and divisional was, hey, we have these incredible event organizers that do an amazing job. Let's partner. Let's allow them to do what they do well. And then our job is to support them in ways that really make sense for them and for the overall community. So, Sean, these are some of the things that we're debating right now. A lot of these questions and details are around, okay, how do we apply our resources and our influence in a way that supports the community best?
And I guess maybe touching on that, I might take a right turn back to affiliates.
Sure.
You mentioned a lot of the things that you listed that got listed in the email regarding, ways of reinvesting. I think a lot of people, the question I've seen more and more, and it happens anytime these major decisions come, is from the casual person who maybe isn't an affiliate or doesn't have firsthand experience is, well, what the hell does CrossFit HQ do for affiliates anyways?
Yep.
And so I would love to hear, if you walked into someone that was like, well, what does CrossFit HQ do to affiliates right now? What happens with that $3,000 that you use to support them? What would be your elevator pitch?
Yeah, so I'd say first and foremost, there's the brand. And this is this brand that's been built over the course of the last 20 something years. We actually have gone out over the last year and talked to a bunch of owners. And what we hear from them is they attribute roughly 30 to 40% of their new members each year. So depending on the size of the owner, let's call it 10 to 20 new members a year are showing up because CrossFit is on the wall. They're searching for it on Google. They're looking for it. They trust the brand. They've heard about it. And so you do the math on, let's say the low end of that. Let's say it's 10 new members a year. I'd call it roughly $1,800, $2,000 per member. That's $20,000 worth of revenue in parts. And again, the numbers are directional. So number one, you get the value of the brand and the confidence in CrossFit. We are the leader in the category. We created this category. We deliver an exceptional experience. That's number one. Number two are the coaches. Like, we have the best coaches in the industry. We do have requirements around coaching. And we give that member confidence that they're going to walk in the front door and they're going to have a coach that's been trained in our methodology, that's invested in this time, that's going to help deliver these extraordinary results. Affiliate owners are getting increasingly, we've invested a ton. We have a field staff that didn't exist, I think 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yeah. In regions across the US and a bunch of countries around the world. We're running events. Have you guys been to an affiliate summit?
A long time ago.
Yeah. So we'll get you on the invite list for welcome. We're doing these. I think we did 40 something events this year. They're awesome. And we want to try to get more affiliates to them. But every owner who I've talked to who has come from these summits talks about how energizing they are, how much they've learned. They're an opportunity for a community to learn from each other. So that's part of what they get. We've talked about CAP. Now we recognize, Most of our affiliates don't use CAP, actually. They either do their own programming, they use one of the options, but you've got a high quality programming option for free at your disposal if you choose to use it. We've got a affiliate handbook that is, as you guys know, best practice from a lot of affiliates that you can leverage. We launched a new starter kit for new affiliates, which is, hey, what are the lessons learned about the essential decisions early in your journey? We've had a mentoring program. We have discounts that we negotiate from partners. We've invested a bunch in kind of technology on the website to support that user journey and getting connected with affiliate. And then there's a bunch of work we continue to do in and around the brand and marketing, which is an area we are going to do more next year. Again, that's all about just getting members in the front door.
Can you expand on that at all? You're going to do more in marketing, and I think that's always that ears perk up when people hear that, because that either means advertising, it either means more media. But what exactly does that mean if you're able to share that right now?
Yeah, it's all of the above. So we kicked off this past year, if you guys remember, with a campaign called Magic of CrossFit. I think the team did a really great job. Inspirational stories, lives that were changed by CrossFit. So part of what we will you'll see from us in the early part of next year are campaigns that are aimed at shifting perceptions in and around CrossFit. One of the things I think we have to learn from is I think we have a little bit of a habit of speaking to ourselves, our own community, and our target. We got to find the folks who know of CrossFit. We have incredible awareness, but we've got these misperception issues that have been around for a very long time. It's dangerous. It's intimidating. I need to get fit first. So stories that start to shift those perceptions, distributed through channels that reach folks who are not already hardcore in the CrossFit community, but folks who have not yet experienced it. And so you'll see those types of stories on social. You'll see them through other advertising channels, reaching more people. You'll continue to see work in partnerships. So one of the things that we've done over the last 6 to 12 months for us, when we did sponsorship partnerships, it was historically pretty much predominantly about revenue. Let's go find revenue to support it. That continues to be important. That's part of how we fund the business. But we're also now looking at growth. How do we find partners who have an audience, who have access to an audience that we believe could benefit from CrossFit? And so our partnership with Jocko actually this past year is a great example of that. He's got really meaningful reach. He's an affiliate owner himself. That partnership for us has been a way that we can reach. I think he gets in the neighborhood of 6 million downloads or something. He's got really good reach. What a fantastic way for us to reach that audience. We're doing a bunch of work around. One of the problems we've had is actually today, if you go search for, if you're a casual user who's interested and you come to CrossFit.com, 3-4 months ago, it was actually really difficult to get your way to an affiliate. The website was not structured well. A lot of people would bounce. And so we've been working really hard at how do we convert a higher percentage of people who come to the website with interest into leads that we hand off for affiliates. So we've been doing a bunch of work around testing different formats on the website. We've changed our gym finder, all in service of leads. We've seen some improvement on that front. You should expect to see more of that next year.
Is that all through internal staff? Because I think the general consensus seems to be like CrossFit HQ right now is a considerably smaller workforce than it was in years past.
So we are right now, not all of it is through internal. We have partners that we work with, as you guys know, some on the media and content production side. We have some partners who we work with on the technology side in the area, although most of that we do ourselves. We are working with a third-party agency on some of our search engine optimization work to kind of but most of the work is done by our existing team. We are now about 150 employees, somewhere around that full-time. A year ago, we were about 200. So we've come down. I don't know the exact numbers. If you guys will know them better than me, probably, but we have come down a little bit again, and really in service of running a leaner business.
There's an ultimate. Well, I shouldn't say ultimate. There's a lot of skepticism out there. Anytime CrossFit talks about when more people are being led into quarterfinals, money grab. This money grab. Are you able to say, okay, with this extra revenue, X is going to go here, this amount's going to go here, this amount goes to the investors because they got to get theirs as well.
Yep.
But how do you break down where the new money coming in is going to go to maybe dampen down some of that skepticism that's going to be there, I think, regardless of what you do.
And if you don't, if you don't mind me adding into that too, like what in that response to what would you say to the people that say this is just like right out of the private equity playbook to like just expand, like, let's raise prices, raise rents, get that more money flowing in?
Yeah. So, the first thing I'd say on that, Sean, I'll start with your piece, and Tommy, hold me if I don't answer it. So, I think the best of the way. So I talked a little bit before. If you buy the notion, and you guys can tell me, buy the notion we have to build a sustainable business. Do you buy that?
100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Break even, not sustainable. Do you buy that too?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's math. Yeah.
That's math. Okay. So where we were was not good enough. And so for us, and yes, do we have investors who we're accountable to? Yeah, we do. They happen to be private equity owners. Every business, well, I guess if you're privately owned, it's a little bit different. You're still accountable to your stakeholders. But our job is to deliver a financial profile that supports our vision for the community and supports the expectations from our investors and the board. For us, we have to drive revenue, top line revenue growth, and then we need to be sufficiently profitable. Our target is somewhere in the range of 20%, a 20% profit margin, which is not crazy extractive. That is, and you can take a look at that. We want to get to a place where we are driving 20% earnings over time. We were not there next year. We're not going to be there this year. We've got to work towards it. I think at a high level, Sean, to your question, that's the best way. We should read out, and we should be willing to talk over time about what is the margin profile that we're targeting that we think is a reasonable balance of what we need to invest to support the business and reinvest in the community. If I was here saying we've got a 90% profit margin and we're jacking up prices, that's a really different conversation. So that's one piece. And then our job is every year, part of my responsibility, our responsibility is we got to go to our board like most businesses and say, here's our budget for next year. Here's where we want to spend every single dollar. Here's the investments we're making in future investments in future growth. Here's the impact it has on our bottom line. Tommy, coming back to your question around, how do we respond to this notion that, this is a money grabber straight out of the private equity playbook? So first thing I would say is, look, like, we are a business. We are. And, for us to be around for the long run, we've got to operate this as a business. And part of our responsibility is to, I would say, assessing pricing and making sure that your business has appropriate pricing isn't out of a private equity playbook. I think it should be a standard best practice for any business. And now I think the way that the community, that you guys, that everyone else should hold us accountable is really looking at, we've got this long-term vision that we've articulated that I think the vast majority of folks, even if folks who may not be happy with short-term decisions, would buy into. So if you can look at it and say, yeah, long-term, if we do our jobs well, we are changing as many lives. We're reaching as many people as possible. We're building strong, sustainable affiliates. We're investing in our coaches. We've built an extraordinary brand that continues to speak with authenticity. And so I think the way that we should be held accountable is, as we make these decisions, this is part of what we're doing. We're looking and saying, are these decisions consistent? And do they help us get in the long run while satisfying our short-term goals and responsibilities around building a business? And so if you look at something